Namaste all. My name is Ashish Bharadwaj. We'll now start and I would request all of you to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Neelam Bedi Sohn. I'm 1977 batch, Mathura Road, and I am residing in Dubai and Delhi.
Rajiv, you're the next one.
I 76 batch, living in Gurgaon.
Sharda ma'am, you're the next one.
I'm 1947, and of course I'm retired.
I'm Ratan. I live in London.
Ajmal Jami.
Oh, Ajmal is a great man. Great man. He should be the next speaker. Prabhuddha Paul.
From 79 batch, same as Deepankar. I was in commerce, of course, and I'm in finance, currently living in Atlanta.
Hi guys, I'm Deepinder Singh. I'm 1988 batch.
Okay.
I'm staying in Gurgaon.
Okay, technology has made it possible for all of us to be here today. Now, I'll welcome our guest, and I would want to show a small clip for them. But before that, let me welcome my co-host Shefalika.
I'm Shefalika Dalmia. I was known in school as Shefalika Agarwal. I'm a lawyer practicing in Delhi, and I'm from the pass-out batch of 1981.
And welcome you all on Alma Talks, which is an initiative of DPS Alumni Network. Today in the series Phir bhi Dil hai Hindustani, I'm joined by two eminent DPS DPS alumni, one from 79 batch, one from 89 batch. Both of them have left Indian shows many years ago, but their heart is still Hindustani. We are honored to have them here. Please welcome Juhi Nayland. So that's Juhi for us. Juhi is in England.
Hi.
Thank you, Juhi. And then I would welcome Dr. Deepankar Bose, also from England. Thank you, Dr. Deepankar. Thank you, Juhi. It's been a pleasure to have you here. I would want to show a small clip, Juhi, for us. Can you recognize her?
Oh, wow.
Time flies, and here she is now with her family.
Pretty woman.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And let me
Making me
then
blush.
get the gentleman in.
Wow.
In school, this is how you used to look.
Look studious.
Okay, I like to share.
Hello friends, I am Bose. By profession, I am an anesthesiologist. I've also been a critical care physician. In this profession, I have met enormous amount of patients in various conditions. I have had the opportunity to serve them, look after them. Some of them made it through, some of them did. One such incident comes in my mind. A professional colleague of mine, a surgeon, who was diagnosed to be having a very severe form of cancer and not expect to live beyond a month. I never interacted with him socially, but on hearing, I did decide to go and see him. On the day when I met him, I sat down with him alone and I saw this very scared man who knew that he may not pull through. So I held his hands and asked him, is there anything I can help you with? Do you want to ask me anything? So he looked at me and said, why me? You know, it's such a difficult question. And we all ask the same question over and over. And we all ask the same question over and over. When things go wrong in our lives, we say, why me? What have I done to deserve this? Look at everybody around me. They're all doing all right. So why is it happening to me? Where have I gone wrong with this? What did I do to deserve this? And we don't find any. So I looked in his eyes and said, boss, is it a fair question to ask? When you were growing up and you went to private school, did you ever ask why me? When you got into medicine in an elite college, did you ever ask why me? Did you ask why me when you became a consultant? When you met this lovely lady who is your wife, had this wonderful family? You never asked why me. You had this beautiful house, had a huge private practice, went round the world. You never asked why me. So what gives you the right to ask why me today? And the penny dropped. I visited him for a month, and this man transformed from a very scared person who feared death to an extremely lovable, lovely, fearless, full of love in this last meeting with me. And this journey was awesome. I say that no matter what, life will deal you with situations which you have got no control over. It's like a pack of cards. When you're playing, you have no idea what cards are going to be dealt to you. He may not win, but he will play a fair game. It's not about winning or losing. It's about the game. No matter what, this is a journey which we have to make. There will be ups and downs in life. If the road is smooth, what's going to happen next? it's going to be a bit rough. If you're going downhill, idling away, the uphill is coming. You will see people around you who are struggling. And if you think, look at me, I'm doing so well, you've got it wrong. Things will go wrong again with you. It has in the past. It will happen again. So what do? We just have to sit back and enjoy the ride. Look at people around you. Those of us who are struggling, give them a hand. Push them. Walk with them. Yes, they are the ones suffering, but you at least feel for them. Develop a compassion. When you have the compassion, that is when you realize how lucky you are. Even when things are going wrong, you have the compassion. There are people worse than you in this situation. And you've had the practice of walking with other people when they are in difficulty. And you know that they have walked, you have walked with them, and you can do it. No matter who is with you or without you, you can do it. And that is all I have to say. Don't ask the question, why me? Always be grateful and thankful for what you have.
That's pretty good.
A very powerful message, I would say.
Very nice.
Great philosophy. Hi, Juhi, Deepankar. Welcome again. So, shall we start off? Because there's lots to ask. We are very curious.
Yeah,
so,
go
starting
ahead.
with you, Juhi. First with you. So, I will ask you very briefly. Please tell us how has been your journey in DPS and your time thereafter. And please tell us something about your education, your family. How did you land up on the foreign shores? And what are you doing today?
I came to DPS Mathura Road when I was in the 2nd grade, and I am from an army background, so life was sometimes unpredictable. About 2 to 3 years, my dad would get posted to a new station. Hence, both my parents decided for both the brothers and myself to be educated at DPS, and it will give us stability. So that was the reason. And my mum wanted the best education. So there we go. So I was very fortunate to join the school. And then I moved to UK in 98 after traveling to several countries. A lot of my travels involved working in the clothing industry. And after a couple of years, I had lots of ups and downs as well, and met my hubby in that journey. Now we have 2 children, Harry and Jasmine, and rest is history. So that's a little bit about how I came to England, in a nutshell, and a little bit about my profession. I wanted to work with vulnerable children and families, so I joined social services for Hertfordshire County Council. I don't know how, but I just, without any experience working with children, all my experience of working with children was my mum used to run a kindergarten in Delhi. And during summer holidays, as a schoolgirl, I used to sort of take part in making posters, and I used to watch my mum's passion. So, I'd learned enough from my mum about, children and families and how people are affected in different ways. So I kind of had something in that way to offer. And in 2012, I retrained as a play therapist from University of Roehampton, London, and I did my 2nd master's in play therapy, which was the hardest thing I've ever done academically, but it was the best thing. And it's helped me become a better mum, I hope so. So I'm not so, sort of it's my way or the highway. I'm able to take, what the children have to sort of also, want. And I try to keep in line with the middle grounds.
All right. How about you, Deepankar? How was your journey in DPS and thereafter?
I think I got very lucky to get into DPS. My father came from I came from a very lower middle class family. My father was a clerk. He would push bike to work. And one of my mother's friends, she had 2 of her sons in DPS. She told my mother, don't send him to the local schools, send him to DPS. So my mother insisted and said that I don't want my son to go anywhere but to DPS. I came in year 1 in the middle of the session in 1967. And I think I got lucky that my father persevered and spent probably 50% of his salary spending on myself. But along with that came the pressure. My mother had the dreams. So she pushed me hard. Teachers pushed me hard. I had to perform. And in the middle of that, I think psychologically, I was quite pressurized. I developed stammering, which lasted for a very long time. And it did affect me quite a lot. Friends would beat me up in school, or so-called friends. Mom will beat me up at home, and teachers would beat me up for not answering questions. So I was quite cornered. But from all that, I got the positive. I said, I'm going to do it. And that pushing me helped me. So as the years progressed, I think I got more confident, and it was not a disability for myself, and I got out of it. Anyway, got into medicine, got few scholarships, like NTS scholarship, Delhi Science Talent scholarship. So that was beneficial because we were competitive. We were in a good class, had some very good teachers who pushed me. Got into medicine in Maulana Azad, stayed there for about another 12 years, did my MD and everything from there. Luckily, I got a break. Nobody like me was given a job in Gangaram Hospital. I became a consultant before I was 30. But somehow I did not like that journey in Gangaram. It was very money oriented. Everything was linked with money. And I felt we had to treat people based on how much they earned and how much they could afford, which was not something which I did medicine for. Somehow I didn't like it. I was very good at the job. I left within a year, and in 92, I landed up in UK, right at the bottom of the ladder. From a consultant in Gangaram, I was an SHO. So the journey was hard again. I ended up becoming a consultant again. Within 6 years, I started working for the NHS, where we don't have to worry about how much money the person has got in the pocket. And I would be able to treat them without any way of no compromise. Everything, best services which we can provide for my patients. And I became an ICU consultant. So it was quite useful. My first son was born in India. I mean, we can talk about that. So that was my journey, and there you are, almost ready to retire. 28 years now in UK.
Deepankar, it's a very inspiring journey from what you tell me. And you spoke about your stammering, huh? So why not elaborate a bit on that? I speak, listening to you, you're so eloquent right now and so fluent. Nobody can believe you had a problem in stammering. So could you tell us, how did you overcome that and so well?
Yeah, and if somebody remembers the movie King's Speech, see that movie, and it's an inspiring movie, how Bertie, who was pressurized by his father, started stammering. I think it was very similar. But I realized that it is not the way I'm going to lead my life. It was not a disability for me. I remember going to AFMC interview. I got selected for the AFMC interview. In the interview, one of the interviewers asked me, "Do you take part in debate?" I was mad. I became angry, and I stood up and said, "Do you think I can debate?" You know what? I got into medicine in AFMC. That person was taken out of the interview room. So I got the confidence. But then I realized that this is not the way. So I started talking to strangers. And when I spoke to strangers, I was not stammering. Then I discovered the whole speech in myself. I understood where the alphabets were coming from, how the sound was produced. And I devised methods as to when I exhaled fully and I spoke, the stammering went down, slowing of the speech. And I devised my own methods now, completely cured my stammering. Not only that, I became an extrovert. I have been speaking all over the world. I have given lectures in packed audiences. I have got no fear. But I want to actually help other people who are stammering. And I have done that. I mean, I have cured 50-year-old person, almost as old as me, some 10 years back, who was stammering lifelong. And within half an hour of working with me, the stammering was already going down. So I have got methods, but I'm not a speech therapist. So I don't have the avenues to expose other people, but I am ready to help anyone. I will pick up people from the streets and I will talk to them. And I will want to help them because I know how much pain it is, how much hurtful it is when people point at you and say the Deepankar. That's what I would be called. So, you know, children don't know, they don't understand that it hurts, but people do. People like me, I have it in myself that how much I was hurt. So I don't want anybody to feel that pain. So that has helped me quite a lot. I think I keep it very safe and very secure within myself. And it has helped me grow as a human being in not being hurtful to other people, being helpful to other people, getting people who are not as fortunate as me to lift them up. And that's how life has been.
That's wonderful to hear. Actually, it's made you what you are, and you're so willing to help others. This is a trait, you know, which is inspiring. That what you learn from, and so scientifically you designed it for yourself how to overcome this handicap.
Yes.
And what a wonderful speaker we have with us now.
Absolutely.
Yes. Juhi, if I could ask you a little about your work as well. So what is your, could we please know about your play and filial therapy, and could you tell us a little about your work as a child-centered play and filial therapist?
Okay,
what does it entail? Yes, sorry.
Okay, no, that's good. So I'm a child-centered play and filial therapist. So when I say child-centered, my main focus is the child. So when a parent or a teacher makes a referral, or it could be the GP, which is the child's general practitioner, a doctor, whoever makes a referral, for me, they have got an agenda. For me, when somebody brings a child to me, my main focus is being child-centered. So I go with the child as my lead. So I will help the child gain confidence on, you know, on their terms. So I'm not going to be pushing the child into something that they don't feel confident, they don't feel comfortable. So my work is totally about keeping child in focus, and as long as the child is happy with the process of introducing other, you know, grown-ups into that process, that therapeutic process, great. If not, the adults will have to just wait whilst I'm working with the child. So I work with children aged between 3 and 11 years of age, and occasionally it's juveniles, it's teenagers, adolescents, adults where appropriate. You know, it depends. Play therapy, play is just a language, because sometimes people and children don't have the vocabulary to express their feelings. They don't know how to talk about when they are really sad or really angry, something has really touched them. It all comes out in their behavior. So with the help of play, they are able to express themselves. And once they start expressing whatever they are feeling, they start to gain more confidence, and that becomes less of an issue. So
how do you think
that's what
this therapy, this therapy, do you think it's going to be of use to us here in India?
Oh yes, 100%. However, it has to be done in baby steps. So rather than just putting the whole model out there about child-centered play and filial therapy, I think the educationists, the teachers, parents, they need to be educated about what it is, because a lot of the times parents can see that as a reflection on their parenting. Why does my child need play therapy? Why can't I fix my child? What's so wrong with my child that somebody from outside has to intervene? So, you know, we need to be able to explain to the parents that it's no reflection on your parenting. Sometimes things are just not in our control, and through play, play therapy, a child would be able to become complete again, and they will be able to engage in education in a happier way rather than feeling stressed. And that's where stammering can come. I've worked with a lot of children who stammer because of the nervousness and the anxiety they suffer. So in play therapy, when children come, we do all sorts of relaxation techniques. I don't do it that I'm trying to get them relaxed because I want their stammering to go. Before they even know, oh, the whole session gone, and I did not stammer, Dewey. And I'm like, oh, you did it. Hypothetically, I'll use the name Tommy. Tommy, you did it. You did it by yourself. So instead of saying to a child, breathe in, breathe out, I would say, how about blowing bubbles? So when you are blowing bubbles, you're doing the same technique. So I'm doing it through play rather than focusing on the child as if something's wrong with you. So it's a relational therapy where a child doesn't feel judged. They feel confident to be able to come and express themselves, and then it helps in the process.
That's great. We need more professionals like you in our country. Then we won't have a problem. Of course, Deepankar was intelligent enough to, cure himself and help himself by training. But we need many more like you to help here in many other situations.
I would be honored if I'd be honored if I ever got the chance to come to India and to be able to work with schools, parents, whoever. If I could be of service, I would love to be able to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a lot of extensive training as well. Thanks for making us understand the subject better, Juhi. Now,
Thank you.
To you, Deepankar. Now, looking at the situation right now, as we all are in the middle of this pandemic, and the question is that how do the healthcare professionals, where do we all stand exactly here in this situation?
Yeah, I think I did about 4 interviews with Aaj Tak and other channels talking about COVID. At this point of time, I think India is going through a very difficult phase. You have got lots and lots of cases now. I think India is now 3rd in the world in the incidence, and you've got about probably 1.75 million cases. And you are probably having deaths of around incidents about 15,000 cases happening every day, and 850 people dying. So quite a lot of deaths. 37,000 people have died. But what we need to understand is COVID is here to stay for some time. And if we need to survive through COVID, we have to maintain our profession and do our jobs and maintain a life. We need to go out. But people might get COVID at some point of time. I have had family members dying. My great aunt died day before yesterday. My mother's aunt, 2 days back. She was 95. How did she get COVID? She didn't go out to bring COVID. People from the household go out, mix with other people, and bring it at home. So my biggest advice at this point of time to every person is look at the vulnerable person in your house. Who is the most vulnerable person? If you are living in a nuclear family with you, your husband and wife and children, and you are reasonably fit and well, if you get COVID, nothing is probably going to happen. Death rate is under 1% now. It is quite low. But if you have got your mother and grandmother, parents, diabetic, obese people, severe asthmatics, heart failure, these are the people who you have in your household. Please, as soon as you leave the home, think, am I bringing COVID home and give it to my mother? Always keep that in the mind. So if you keep that in mind, that am I going to bring this plague at home, you will not do things. You will stop. You will protect yourself. You will wash your hands. You will do all the right things. I am not here to advise you because everybody knows what COVID does. Even probably a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old knows what is to be done, that you have to wash your hands and put a mask. But if you are not considerate enough, if you go out, mix with friends, go to the bars, go to the pubs, go to hotels, restaurants, go for melas and go for marriage ceremonies and birthday parties and bring it home, it is your sad mother and father or your grandparents will probably get it and they may not survive. That is the most important message I want to give today at this point of time to anyone in India, because you are living together in joint families and big families.
But there is a little connected question with that. This is for all of us. But what about the healthcare professionals like you in the developing countries and the policymakers in India? Anyone very poignant, significant advice that you would like to give to all of them?
To the healthcare professionals, I think we have to protect ourselves. It's like flying in a plane. If you're flying in a plane and the oxygen level goes down, you've got a small child next to you, they say, put the oxygen on yourself first before you put it to the child. Because something happens to you, the child is dead. So if the healthcare personnel do not protect themselves, something will happen to them, and all those patients who that person is looking after will be affected. So very important for the healthcare personnel and for the government to limit people coming to the clinics. The doctors, nurses, they should not be holding open clinics for people to come in just because they have fever. As soon as you enter the place, somebody should take a fever from a remote gun, fever, check the fever. If you have fever, separate place, and we can sort you out. If you don't have fever, come in. What is the problem? Do you need to see a doctor, or can you do it by remote? Can you do it by phone consultation? We are now doing all consultations by phone. Very few physical, where you need to examine the eye or something physical, chest or an X-ray or some blood test. Then only you come to the hospitals or the clinics. People are all being consulted remotely. We are having the meeting from God knows how many continents. We can do that. Why can't I listen to your problems on a television or on a phone or on a computer? This can be done, and all the doctors, nurses should be given adequate PPEs, the appropriate PPEs. They should be trained, they should be supervised, and they should not be there in a virus environment for a longer period of time, because it is a viral load. You can go inside, see a patient who has got the virus in, come out quickly, nothing will happen. But if you stay there for 2 hours, then the chances of you getting the viral load is high. This is the problem.
Any message to even the policymakers in a developing country like us?
I think at this point of time, India is wasting a lot of money by doing tests on people who are actually not COVID. So testing has to be controlled. It is a very expensive thing. There are things which people are doing, like you cannot go back to work till you are 2 tests negative. Now this is a problem. We know very well at all point of time that if you have got COVID, in 10 days time you will be COVID negative. Now we are wasting all these resources. Use the resources well. If somebody has got a positive in one family of 8, why test all of them? If one person is positive, assume everybody is positive. Just do it this way. And you can see people disinfecting the streets with sprays. Absolutely waste of time. It doesn't do anything. COVID is not going to be lying in the streets or in the walls. It doesn't stay there. Why do it? So this is the problem. This is a problem you're seeing. People are spraying. People are barricading. It is not going to stop. People should be given the independence. Yes, you have got COVID. Restrict yourself. Don't move out. But what is happening is people are doing lockout of the whole areas. It doesn't work. People will sneak out. Other people will come in, and that is what is happening. Give people the independence of some liberty. Give them the sense of, if somebody has got COVID, stay in, quarantine yourself for 14 days. Don't lock the whole building out. What is the point? You've got a building of 50 families. You're locking the whole building out, and so somebody else comes in next week. Somebody else got it. Whole building is locked out. This is silly, isn't it? I mean, it doesn't work. People are getting fed up, and hence they're breaking the rules.
What you say, Deepankar, is so very significant, and you've touched upon some very, very important points. Thank you. We continue with you, Deepankar. So
Okay.
how was your struggle shifting to a different country, if we know? We are all very curious. It must have posed a lot of challenges. So tell us about your struggles briefly, and how did your family adjust to life in there?
Yes. Well, whenever you change, there is going to be a struggle because the need to change. But then your desire to change was very important. I was the only child of my parents. And as I told you, their financial situation, I was married. I had a little baby. My biggest challenge was I left my wife and my 7-month-old son in Delhi. My wife who's a doctor, was doing her house jobs. And I did not feel comfortable bringing them straight out I did not see them for 1.5 years. So my son turned 1, my son turned 2. For that long, I could not come. Communication in those, now look at this, we are talking so many people, I can see you all. In those days, it would cost me £1.50 a minute to make a phone call. So communication, talking to your parents, talking to your mom, not being able to see the child, that was the biggest challenge. Then came the new environment, new standards of work, new ethics. People had different values. Our value system was different. The value system here is slightly different. Food, big challenge. Nowadays we got lots of Indian food. In those days, I would go to the canteen, cauliflower cheese, big lumps of cauliflower looking at you, and it's white. Oh my God. So difficult. But again, I had to get used to it. Didn't have any money. I came with 170 pounds, which I had to last for 1 month before I got my salary. Anyway, these things changed. Then the family came. My second son was born. My wife developed rheumatoid arthritis. It was very, very hard. She developed rheumatoid arthritis within 7 days of my second son being born. So we were all alone, no help, but from the superior. So people from the streets came and helped us. So everybody had to sacrifice. Then my careers, the exams. Exam was really, really hard. 3 exams, 3 parts of my fellowship. And it was classed as the most difficult exam in the world in those days, anesthesia fellowship. There weren't anybody, there were only 15 FFAs in India before I left. But we had only 4 years of visa. I had to do it. But again, the opportunities with difficulty, when things get going, we guys become stronger. Challenges came, you became stronger. There were a lot of discriminations. There were lots of things which happened, but we overcame them. Like I remember, India is the most discriminative country in the world. Nobody can compete with India in discrimination because we discriminate against people at every level, right? From religion, language, state, what food you eat, everything. Over here is not like that. So we are used to, so it was not hurtful. But people took away opportunities from you. I remember there was an interview I was going to apply for. I went to see this professor, and this professor said, the only way you will be getting this job if everybody who is coming for the interview will have an accident in the road. I said, oh my God. Oh my God. I don't want to name him. He's in London. So I said, you know what? I will become a consultant one day. He said, take up a staff grade job, middle grade job. I said, no, I'm not. I'm going to become a consultant one day. And I wanted to go back to him and say, thank you very much for positively motivating me, for saying these kind of things. So positive role model and negative role model, they're all both very important. Negative role models, even more important in life. So these kind of people stimulated me even more to work hard. But it also gave me the impetus to help people. Now, I have got 2 sons of my own who have done reasonably okay, but I've got 2 more sons who call me father, whom I have never seen in my life yet. Now, my eldest son wanted to become a doctor, but he didn't. He didn't get the grades. My wife said, why don't you put him in private medical school? I said, listen, it's going to cost me 1.5 to 2 crore rupees. That's a lot of money. Is it really worth it? I went to him and said, do you really think you should become a doctor? He said, no, Dad, I don't want to become a doctor. And within a year, I was working with a friend of mine from Nigeria. And we found out 2 boys, fatherless children, boys who got into medicine, didn't have any money to pay for admission fees. We picked them up and they're both doctors now. Now they're both doctors. One of them is in America. Second one is working as medicine consultant. And what have I got in return? They call me father. That is what I've got. And they are helping so many people. So I say to people, opportunities are there. When we come, opportunities came. So don't feel that you are being discriminated against, something has happened. Just make yourself deserving, and the nature will take you forward. Just make people deserving. Tell your children to be deserving. Don't give them extra things. So, oh, let him become the president. Let him do this. I'm going to push him to become first. No, don't do that. Just do the right thing. Let them become deserving, and nature will shower stem with wealth. It will come from nowhere, which we don't understand. We don't need to understand, but it will happen. So this is what the journey has been, and I have been helping people right, left, and center, trying to get people. I've just got a girl who her mother kicked her out of the house, and she was just at the beginning of her I mean, just because of the university years, just getting there, she kicked him out. Kicked her out. I picked her up, put her into university, and I'm going to make sure she becomes a doctor. So I've got all these wonderful opportunities to help people. And I think we should carry on looking beyond your own self, looking beyond your own family, trying to help the nature, everybody around you who deserves the help, and the world will become a different place. This is the fun I'm having these days.
Deepankar, we are so proud of you. You need to be so proud of the journey that you are. And you're such a motivational speaker. It gives us goosebumps when we hear about you.
Absolutely.
You for that.
I'm a PLAB examiner. I get all these people from India, other people, and I'm trying to help people. Come on, do it. Come along, get along. I went for a meal in a Gurkha restaurant. And the restaurant owner's father said that my son wants to do medicine. I said, send him to me. And I coached him so many hours. My son got his personal statement. Sadly, he didn't get in. But it is just the effort. You want to help people who are deserving. That is the most important thing. Gift of education is the most important gift for people. Do not think about your own son as your own. Love the whole world's children as your own. And let them grow as independent flowers. Because they don't have to be attached to the umbilical cord with yourself. There is no point.
Well, okay. Now over to you, Juhi. What about your journey here?
I actually struggled more when I was in my mid-20s. And I was in India at that time. Unfortunately, I lost my dad, who was my backbone and who would give me opportunities, at the same time make me feel safe and confident about whatever I was doing at that time. They sometimes don't get when I'm trying to say, I don't like if you speak in a certain tone of voice, because in India I was brought up with those real strong values that you have to respect your elders, and you treat your younger with respect as well, like how you want to be treated. So sometimes I found that there was that communication gap. There was my gap in understanding the Western culture to its core. So I struggled, and I felt, and I still feel sometimes really lonely, because it's like, I'm the Indian one in this house. My husband's English, both the children, they are very English. They don't really speak a great deal of Hindi. Well, in fact, they don't speak Hindi. So I feel quite lonely in that respect. I'm somebody who doesn't moan a great deal. I adapt to my circumstances, my environment. So they have not really felt, but I never just got myself a ticket and flew to India, because coming from an army background, my dad was always away and my mum was bringing us up. So we were very, sort of family who was split up, not because they didn't get on with each other, but the pressure on my mum to bring up 3 teenagers, and I'm mother of 2 teenagers, is so hard. So I think I was a bit of a naughty girl as well, especially when I hit 16. So I think I just am quite grateful that the way I was brought up, that I'm able to adapt to the Western world, as well as I don't dismiss, my Indian background, my Indian ways. So when I go to India, I try to be as respectful, and I follow the culture as much as I can. And I'm very humble about it.
Juhi, if I may say so, you've obviously flowered in UK. Just like your name. You've adjusted very well, if we can say that. And your positive attitude is all out there for us to see.
Yes. I mean, it was really hard sometimes, with having, English in-laws who sometimes did not get how I felt. They or they thought that I was too overly polite, but that's just Indian people, you know. So I would, every time I would say thank you, you know, for anything they offered me. I would say welcome to every time somebody said thank you to me. And it was like, they always thought that I was just too sweet, but it's just the way. So there was a lot of communication gaps and understanding of cultures. I think I'm getting there. I had to straighten up my act a little bit and toughen up a bit as well, and not take some things so personally. Yeah, my husband's very understanding. He always says, Dewey, you're thinking with that Indian mindset. So maybe if you think it this way, so he kind of helps me sometimes. He coaches me through the difficult times, even with my teenage children. Sometimes he's able to understand because he grew up in this country, whereas I would have never ever risen my voice. Not that my children, you know, disrespect me or anything like that, but you know, there are times that, you know, things can get a little bit edgy. So I feel it's been a tough journey, but I always believe that unless you go through some difficult times, you will never experience and appreciate the good times. So I've got two wonderful, absolutely not because I'm their mum, but they are just the most lovely children, and I've got a fantastic husband who helps me every single way, you know, as much as he can. He can be annoying though as well.
Well done, Juhi. You come across as a very well put, with it, positive and mature person.
Thank you. Well, I try.
Juhi, tell us what, in your opinion, is the main difference in living and working between India and England in your respective field?
I'm not sure how much Indian parents would welcome an outsider come into their family dynamics and offer advice. It is an intrusive process, and even the parents over here in UK can find it very, very hard that their child needs outside input to get help. Parents can see that as a reflection on their parenting and make it a negative experience for the child and for themselves. The likelihood is that the process will have very grim results, because if in the case of play therapy, like in my profession, is so important for the parents and the teachers to support the child in play therapy. Otherwise it's not going to work, and the child would always feel a bit of a nuisance that they're coming to play therapy because they're coming to be fixed. So that's really, really difficult. I believe before introducing the model like play therapy or filial therapy into Indian schools, it would be vital to educate parents as well as, you know, educationists, schools, other adults, other people who are professional, who are involved in working with schools. So it can help. It can help the child get the maximum help and good results.
Okay, and do you think this sensitization process has started some bit in India?
Well, talking from some of the people, I feel that there's a huge lack. I think there is a little bit of confusion about what play therapists do in comparison to what play specialists do. You know, play specialists are professionals who work in hospitals, who are there to support children when they're going through surgery, when they're going through different processes. There is also confusion about, you know, the pastoral team in schools who are there to support children. But there's a therapeutic element with play therapy. It is not, you know, what you see is what you get, and it is not about just what the results need to be. It's, you know, it's a bigger picture, and it's a therapeutic process, and it takes intensive training to become a play therapist. So I think so it needs to go through all those channels to be able to introduce the play therapy model into schools, to make it, to make it effective way of intervention. So I mean, the last thing what I'm saying is, like, whatever the schools and the parents are doing already with the children, it's absolutely fantastic. It's great, because the biggest battle is, if the school and the parents can understand that there is an issue and that issue needs to be addressed for the child to be able to gain confidence, to raise their confidence and self-esteem. If that is understood and whatever is done to help the child, that is great anyway. But for something as niche as play therapy to be introduced, I think it really needs to go through a process that it will succeed, rather than, before you start, it fails. Because, like I said, it takes intensive training for that, and not to be put off by it. For school, for universities and colleges to introduce this model, bring people from outside India, and work it in a way that it will be able to help those people who want to be trained in play therapy.
Okay, I'm sure the supportive environment will definitely be there, in times to come. Okay, I'll go over to Dr.
Fingers crossed.
Perfect. I'll go over to Dr. Deepankar with the same question. What is the difference as per you, working in India, working in England?
I mean, the major difference is that when India was getting independent, they focused on certain things: industrialization, education. Health was not addressed. Whereas when UK was getting independence after the war, very similar thing, similar situation. UK was in a very same state, bankrupt because of the Second World War. They did something else. They looked at NHS and felt we must get the healthcare as a national agenda. Free care at the point of delivery, from cradle to the grave. As the child is born to the person when he's dead, whole time the healthcare would be done by the government. It became the government's agenda. That was the main difference. Today, India spends 1.5, 1.6% of the GDP on health. With the private healthcare, 3.5%. England spends about 9%, which is low for a European standard. So you can see the difference. This is the main difference, is that UK or the Western governments, they spend more money on health. So in India, fantastic healthcare. Now look at COVID. My grandma, this cousin grandma, was admitted in a hospital. Now they were asked to pay for n number of things. And they're very, very poor people. But even in the smaller places, people have to pay for treatment. Here in UK, the Prime Minister's wife gave birth to a baby in a suite, which is going to be used next day by a person who may be homeless in the street. That is the difference. That is the difference. When I treat a patient, I don't have to look at the person's pocket to see, is this person able to pay for the treatment? Is this person, what kind of pacemaker am I going to put in? What kind of drugs am I going to give? No. Everything is same for everyone. That is the biggest difference. Second biggest difference. When I was in India, I was a very flamboyant, dynamic power brand. I mean, very hot-headed. Absolutely, I want to care. I will kill to care. That kind of attitude I had. So I thought, I mistook. The biggest thing was, I thought, oh, look at these patients. They are so lucky to have come to me, and they're getting fantastic care. How wrong I was. How wrong I was. I realized it later on when I came here, that how lucky I was to treat those patients. It is a privilege for me to transfer that care which I can for the people who need it. So I am the lucky one to get the opportunity to treat. This feeling will transform the care, because when you see a doctor talking to patients, they think the patient is down there. He is begging up to the God. Doctor is God. No, doctor is not God. The patient is God. That is the main difference. I have to treat the patient as if I'm treating my own mother. my own father, my own brother, my own children. That is the difference. That is what I have learned. And that is what I want to tell all the people who are, if there are anybody who are budding doctors, treat your patients like gods, like your family members. Then maybe you will be able to care for them. Then only you will begin to care for them. I used to give my own blood and operate on a patient. I have done that in India. So I thought I was great, man. Look at me, I have given blood and I have donated. But no, that's a privilege. That's a privilege. You have the privilege. And that, I think, the way we talk to patients out here, you know, we give them dignity, we explain everything, we step back. If they are not happy, we'll go back again and we'll explain things. If there is a doubt, we will ring up, we will get the information from everyone so that the patient doesn't have to worry. I have taken that suffering away, and we'll be compassionate. You know, I'm an intensivist. I would see patients, I would be holding their hands when they're dying. I'll be crying with the family. I have cried with the families. I have given lift to patients' family members, taking them, bringing them home, because that is a privilege. That is caring. You don't stop caring once you stop becoming a doctor. You are caring. I would tell my students, you become a doctor till the end of your last breath. You carry on caring. I don't know if India would be able to accept this kind of a principle. But things are changing. There is always hope.
Definitely, there is hope. And I would now get on to rapid fire questions. I'll start with you, Juhi. I'll read out of a few statements which you have to tell me which one of these two options is more preferred in UK. Mention not or you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Okay. The next one is for parents of one's friends or friends of one's parents. Do you say uncle, auntie, or Mr. Mrs.?
Mr. and Mrs.
Okay. Pass out or graduate?
Pass out.
Pass out. Okay. The next one, a bungalow or a house?
House.
A house. The last one, tube or train?
Tube.
Tube. Okay, wonderful. You can
Deepankar, I'll take you on. This is just to see how well ensconced you really are here in UK. Okay, the first one comes. What would you prefer to call? A maid, dude, or yar?
We call maid.
Okay, the next one. A motorbike or a motorcycle?
We call bike. We don't call motorbike. We just say bike.
Okay, the car park or parking?
We don't use parking as a term to where a place where you park your car. We would say car park is where you park your car.
And how about petrol or gasoline?
No petrol. Gasoline is not used in UK here.
Yes. Okay, a flyover or overpass?
Flyover.
Okay. Well, you're well settled in UK. Congratulations. Okay. Deepankar, Juhi, you're both first generation migrants here. So I'd like to know, starting with Deepankar, how often do you travel back to India? And how do you spend your time when here in India?
Okay. You're talking to me? Yeah.
Yes, first to you, Deepankar.
I'm crazy. I mean, I should be banned from coming to India because year before last I was here 3 times. Yes, last year I was here twice. And anytime I'll get even a 7 or 10 day leave, I'll buy a ticket and fly to India. It's that attractive. I come on my own. I don't bring my family, and I do my own things, which is basically land in Delhi, don't tell anyone, and go straight to the Himalayas or in the mountains, or I go for pilgrimages. And in September, I had a conference. I came and I went off to south of India for seeing 3 Jyotirlingas, which I had missed out yet. Before that, in March, I went to Mukteshwar, stayed with a monk or a saint in a cave for 7 days. Then I stayed 7 days in Varanasi. So I don't like to mix with a lot of people. Yeah, I would do all the Kumbh Melas, so completely crazy. I'm absolutely mad. Some of my friends would say, I see you more than I see my brother who lives in Delhi.
You pack in more things in that few days than most of us here would be able to. And so you're not only just spiritual, you're also very religious. There is a difference.
No.
You're also very...
I'm not religious at all.
Okay.
I don't. I do
You've
these
gone
things.
on these pilgrimages.
Yes, but that is not religion. That's a part of my drive. I have done Kailash
Spirituality.
Mansarovar also. I've done Kailash Mansarovar, which is an amazing experience. So it's a privilege. And I said, well, I've done Kailash Mansarovar. Why not tick off all the boxes of the Shivalingas? But people have been going there for centuries. And if I follow the path where other great people, so many people have followed, that itself is a feeling. That itself is a feeling. It is not about sitting in a temple and putting religiousness is doing rituals. I don't believe in that.
Not rituals.
I would walk the grounds of, I've walked in Vrindavan, naked feet, and I've not been able to wash my feet afterwards, thinking, oh my God, Krishna used to walk here. This dust, how can I wash my feet? So I went to bed without washing my feet. So that kind of madness is there in me, but that is madness.
How about you, Juhi? Your time here in India, and how often are you able to come down here?
Do you know what? Oh my goodness. Deepankar, I'll never be able to match your standards. Oh my goodness me. I feel a little bit on the similar lines that I'm not very religious. I can't, my background was army. So, it was more about being respectful, more patriotism, it's him, like whenever there was national anthem in the background, we were expected to stand up, show respect. My dad was a Shiva follower. So every morning he would do that Om Bhur Bhava Sabha, he would do his prayer, and I do that prayer as well. And I love, it gives me a lot of peace. But when I was first here, I got a little bit, completely away from my religious side of things. Not that I was very religious when I was being brought up in India. However, for me, my house, my home is my temple. I had an Indian neighbor in one of the houses where we used to live before where we are now, and her name was Preeti, and she came to my house. She was a Gujarati lady, and she came inside, and she was frantically looking around my house, and I was like, my goodness, why is she looking? What is she looking for? So I asked her, I said, Preeti, you all right? What's the matter? And she goes, well, where's your temple? Where's your temple? And I was like, oh my God, am I supposed to have a temple? Anyway, she kind of said, every Indian should have a temple in the house. I kind of triggered something in me. It really triggered something in me. And I said, Preeti, you have walked into my temple. You have literally walked into my temple. My home is my temple. My husband and my 2 children, they are my deities. If I can do a good job by them, I think God, Allah, Jesus, whoever is there, will bless me. I was really proud of myself because it really triggered something in me, the way she spoke, and I think she was quite amazed as well, and she understood. I said, I'm a mother of 2 very young children. I haven't got my Indian family to help me bring up my children. I'm doing the best I can, and I'm making sure my husband is, feeling loved and cared and belongs, so he's not married a mad Indian woman who has got these very high standards of, the house needs to be clean and, rah. It was so hard in those days, but, and I believe that my home is my temple. Deflected from your question, and that was about how often do I come to India. I don't come as often as I would like to, and the reason being, I'm somebody who was and who is would try to keep in line with the rules, especially because I didn't keep in line with school rules when I was a teenager. I'm very, very dedicated about my kids' schooling. So during the school term time, I have never taken my children out of school to go to India or to go to anywhere. And once the children are over a year, they need to have a proper flight seat, so they can't sit on your lap. So affording 4 air flight tickets direct flight, so expensive for Gary and myself. My husband's called Gary. It was so hard for us to be able to afford, and then to have enough spending money when we are in India. Don't expect my mum to be, sort of taking us out or all the places where we wanted to go. So we had to budget. So it was not always possible to go to India every year. But now my kids, Harry is 18 and Jasmine is 16. So, they are sort of coming close to the next phase of life. Harry is likely to be going to university in September. Hopefully, he's moving towards independence. My daughter, she's gone into A levels and she's moving towards independence as well. So we will have more opportunities to be able to fly to India. So I'm really hoping that I will be visiting India more often. So far, it's been every 2-3 years. And it was hard because, with a young family, we started with nothing, Shafalika. Now we are in a really good position because we worked so hard. Gary's not had any help from his parents. I've not had any help from my parents. We made a life ourselves in here, and we are just so proud of it. I would never leave my base until my little birdies have got their wings and they're ready to fly, and then Gary and I will come together. And we're almost there, literally almost there. So that's how it's been for me. I dream about India all the time, though.
What a wonderful, emotional, sentimental answer.
It was really a pleasure to know about Deepankar coming to India and doing a lot of crazy stuff. We have an Indian here sitting in Gurgaon who also used to go to UK and do a lot of crazy stuff. So let's call Rajiv and please tell us what was the craziest thing that you did in UK.
The craziest thing I did in the UK was that I almost settled there. My ex-wife was half British and half Indian, and used to come to the UK quite often. And once I came alone. I don't know how I landed up there alone, but I landed up there alone, and I wanted to settle in a place called Clacton-on-Sea. That's very near. I think it's on the outskirts of London, maybe. But that's a beautiful place, and I wanted to settle there. But life had other plans, So they said, if I have an opportunity to take a minute more, I just want to make 1 or 2 points about what I've heard these two fantastic people. What I like most about Deepankar, or when I say like most, I think what affected me most was, the fact that how he gave up the stammering, because that actually sets the tone for his life to come. A person who does things on his or her own self is ready to take on a lot of beatings in life, and that's what I found was very, very intriguing. As far as Juhi is concerned, what I like most about her is that she doesn't want to leave her husband, and that I think is sweet. Yeah, I think it's very sweet. And and I think that sets the tone, because I think it sets the tone for a very healthy relationship. It sets the tone. Though, of course, she did admit that she can be very trying at times.
Okay, I'll start with you again, Juhi. My next question is, how do you guys celebrate major Indian festivals in England?
Right. For myself, I do struggle with, the Indian community. So, all right. So I do my own thing. And I make up as I go along, because I haven't got a great deal of Indian community here. I haven't got any Indian family members here. And Deepankar, I thank you for introducing the lovely ideas. You said that how I can, meet up with some Indian people, and I will look into that. I live in an area where, there are no Indian clubs or anything like that, but I will have to look into that. I just do, for Diwali, Holi, I just make up things as I go. I'm in charge. Nobody questions me. Everybody seems to enjoy whatever I suggest. We love Indian food, and we often go to this vegetarian restaurant in Barking, which is in London, and it's called Travelers. It's a vegetarian restaurant. Both my children and my husband know the menu inside out. All the waiters know us there as well. They know the mad mixed race families just turned up, and they are quite particular about what they want, and it's great fun. And hopefully now that the kids are getting a little bit older, we will be traveling to India in Diwali, holy time. I'd love to do that. Raksha Bandhan, I send Rakhi to both my brothers, and we just sort of do FaceTime, we talk. It's good fun. Lots of Indian music in the background. It's proper sort of like I make up my Indian outfits, and we all get dressed up, so we have fun. That's how I celebrate. I have them sometimes on the FaceTime, and I'm seeing them, putting fireworks. My younger brother is in Mumbai, and he would be showing, a whole firework display in Mumbai, whereas my older brother, he would be showing in Gurgaon, where he lives. So yeah, it's about not the distance, it's about the sentiment, and it seems to work.
That was really good to know about it. How about you, Dr. Deepankar?
Well, I mean, I was lucky that when I was in Delhi also, my mother used to do Durga Puja in the house. We stay in a small place. For the last 45 years, the Durga Puja has been going on. Being a Bengali, naturally, on first year, I came here, I found Durga Puja venues, found it, reached there, and we used to do it every year. Ramakrishna Mission is where I normally grew up as a child in Delhi. Quite a lot of strong influence, and we have got a very nice Ramakrishna Mission here, which I would visit, spend some time on a regular basis. During the big festivals, yes, big opportunity, lots of food, lots of music, puja becomes secondary. But then in my own house, we would do pujas in a different way. 1st January is a big puja day for us. In our family, we call it Kalpataru Puja. Dashera, Diwali, new dress. Of course, go out to the various puja venues, have food, have music. That's a very, very traditional thing. Diwali was equally well celebrated until the time we got broken in on a Diwali day. We left the house and we got burgled. So Diwali has become an anticlimax for us. We have stopped going out on Diwali, unfortunately, but we celebrate it, at home. So we will have something. But Indian festivals, all for it, all the time. We would travel to India once in a while on festival times, and then for the kids to enjoy it.
Okay, that's good to know.
Puri, I'm curious to know, can you give me a few instances? Of course, you've talked about your food here, where you can say Dil is still Hindustani. People have been away for a good number of years, but can you say when that hits you? Yes, but the Hindustani is not taken away from you.
Well, I love cooking and showing my Angrezi Babu and my Angrezi Bache, the Hindustani Bache, the Hindustani Khana, music and dance. We all love it, and time to time, when we are relaxing, we will have, a few chill drinks in the evening. We'll put the music on. We'll do Chaya Chaya, Shah Rukh Khan. And my daughter loves dancing on that, and so does the mother. So, we have such a ball. Due to the lockdown, nobody was able to go see their friends. So we had to be, not just each other's mum, dad, and son, daughter. We became each other's friends as well, because you have to entertain each other. So we ended up doing lots of little Indian mini sort of evenings, and that was great fun. Also, I'm a Jat lady, and my roots are in Haryana. My dad was a Fauji officer, and my mother was a very dynamic lady, who brought me up to be resilient and positive person. I am very proud that I learned from the best people. They have trained me to be so resilient. I can face whatever comes my way. And living in England, it made it easy in some ways, hard in other ways, but I'm not complaining. I love it. I love my life. Life is a journey, and each day as it comes, kind of thing. It's all right.
Great. So food is a big connect. Yes.
Yes.
What about
definitely.
you, Deepankar? What would you say is your connect to India? How is your dil so Hindustani?
Yeah, I mean, okay, I'll give you a small incident, small incident, which will say, Dil is the inside part of you, and I will talk about the inside. Don't get offended.
You're talking as a doctor now.
I came back to India after about few years of being here, and I went to some friend's house, and the small child who is now a father of two asked me, "Uncle, आप चड्डी कौन सा पहनते हो? Calvin Klein." मैंने बोला, यार, I buy Young India banyan, and that is my inside. And even till today, every time I go to India, I'll have a stack of banyan and jangya. That's every day. That is my Indian inside. Saying so. Values. It is the values which make a person. It is about how you treat. Kids have grown up. My younger son, who is 23, my elder son is 27, 28. Even till day, he will not call his elder brother by his name. His elder brother's name is Abhimanyu, and younger one is called Anirudh. He still calls him Dada, which is the respect. That is Indianness, the values, respecting. My elder son is now, he has proposed to his Welsh girlfriend of 8 years. When that girl comes home, I've told her, my mother lives with me. She doesn't live in a nursing home. That is the Indianness. We look after. When my father passed away in 2000, I being the only son, I got my mother here. She is my mother. She's the most important person in my house. My kids know it. My wife knows it. Nobody goes against my mother. Everything happens if my mother is happy. Second, everybody else gets it. So I told the girl, you want Dadi to look after you? Touch her feet. The boys will come here. They will touch my mother's feet. That is the Indianness, the values, living with the spiritual values. I taught my sons sitar. My younger son was playing tabla. I play the flute. So this is it. Every part of me just rings that this is it. I would look at the news. Educational policy came out yesterday. I'm reading it. I don't understand the education policy of UK as much as I read about Indian education policy. Indian COVID, I have got all the statistics. Every part of me is ringing India.
You're truly connected. You're truly connected. And since you spoke of the flute, can we have the pleasure of listening to a bit of that, please?
Okay.
A small rendition, please.
I will tell you something. It is connected with DPS.
So we feel totally Hindustani then.
Yes. DPS, Mathura Road, had a teacher who joined in 1975 called Mrs. Meeta Majumdar. I don't know how many of you must remember.
Of course, I do.
She used to sing like a nightingale. She's absolutely beautiful voice. I am still connected to her after 40 years of leaving school. And she sang a song in school in our class, and that made us all fall in love with her. And I had a massive hand injury last year. I stopped playing my flute, and when I came to know that Mrs. Majumdar's mother had passed away, she was also a great singer. I wanted to give something back to Mrs. Majumdar, so I played her song which she sang for us, and I'm going to try to play that today for you. I need to stand up to play this.
Thank you, Deepankar. You brought back so many memories for us. Do we ever see you guys thinking about relocating to India? Okay, starting with you, Judy.
Oh, never say never. Like I said before, when my kids have flown the nest, maybe if my Angrezi Babu is happy to adapt to the Indian ways, which he's very full on when he's in India, he goes touch people's feet and he's very, humble and he's very respectful. But that's when we are on like a couple of weeks holiday. But if that is something he can, bring his mind around, I wouldn't mind relocating to India, and I'd love to have a little cottage near the seaside. I think, yeah, I can see that. I can see that in the pipeline. But for now, I think I'm gonna be put. I'm gonna stay put because my kids need me. They're in that very critical phase of their life that they're moving on to university, and I think they need them. They need their mummy.
As
Maybe
you
after
said,
that.
never say never.
Never
You're
say
enriching
never.
the lives wherever you are, whether
Yes.
here or in UK.
Yes,
Enrich-
and I'd like to spread the word of play therapy, and I'd like to be able to do a lot to work with vulnerable children and families in India, not the only ones who can afford to send their children to private schools, but also, the ones who are underprivileged children. The status of women, I'd like to raise that status of women in India because coming from a Jat background, I know Indian women don't get that status, the equality. So that is, that is really close to my heart, and I would like to bring that change. Hopefully one day if I have the opportunity. So never say never.
What about you, Dr. Deepankar?
You know what? I don't even know what is going to happen tomorrow. I mean, absolutely. I live in the present. I enjoy every moment of me. When the earth was devoid of Ganga, Shiva brought Ganga from the heavens. I live in India. This is India for me. It's all around me. We have got just the second in command in India, in UK. The Chancellor is Indian, the Home Minister is Indian. We want to bring India here. India is everywhere. India is the greatest civilization, and we taught people how to stand and brush their teeth. And I don't want to go to India. I want to bring India here. And that is what is happening. Bring Indian food. Now Indian curry is the most popular food here. The politicians are ruling the country. Everywhere you go, there is full of Indians. I don't feel out of place. India is just a concept in your head. They say, where you are, Vrindavan is there with you. So I have to carry my India with me all the time.
You bet you are.
I cannot go to India. I am in India, and I am India within myself.
And as you said, it's just an 8 hours away, and maybe the time gets shorter.
Yeah, exactly.
And India is always within you.
Exactly.
Wherever
I am
you
8
are.
hours away. I just sit in the flight and I'm there. Home is
Okay,
home.
Deepankar, when was the last time that you visited DPS, our alma mater, Deepankar?
Yeah, you know what? I don't remember. Many years ago. As I told you, my DPS memories have not been very, very strong. They were not positive memories for me. So getting out of school, and please don't get me wrong. Please don't get me wrong.
No, we totally understand.
Every footing. What I am here today is because of Deen Dayal and Dope's caning off my back. I can still feel Dope giving me a kick in the backside. That is
He didn't spare many years.
That is what got us where I am. But DPS was a stepping stone for me into the bigger world. I actually very rarely connect. I very rarely go to anybody's house. Yes, last time I went to India, one of my batchmates picked me up from the airport, and we have got a group now, about 80 boys from the school, whom we chat as 16-year-old, 18-year-olds. So you can imagine what kind of chat goes on there. So I am in a very big community. These boys, they are trying to contact me. They'll get hold of me for personal advice, professional advice, mental health advice, and that's what I'm doing. So I don't feel the need to go into the building again. I have not done that. There's no need for me, but I would anything happens, if I'm there, I will definitely go ahead and do it. And so I'm sorry.
You're doing enough for the DPS outside too.
Yeah.
Yes. And you're so well connected with all of them that the physical going to the alma mater would serve no purpose, really.
All here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What about you, Juhi?
It was a long time ago. It was 17 years ago, I think. I do remember my son was only 1 at the time. So I went to DPS Mathura Road with my husband, my little boy, and myself. I think my younger brother accompanied as well. And the school it was the same kind of feeling I had when I visited Delhi Public School. It felt quite, nostalgic, although lot looked different. Cosmetically, the reception area was looking, it was looking more smart. Not that it wasn't before, but it was, it had like a hotel feel to it from what I remember when I was at school. So, so it was around 17 years ago I visited DPS last time.
My next question to you, Deepankar, what would be your message to DPS alumni community?
I think I feel I am one of the people who follow DPS motto to the word. I have given these values to my children, and I give it to anybody because I'm an educationalist. I teach. I teach in medical schools, and I would want to tell this thing to everybody is that whenever you see, and for me, when I'm speaking to you, I say you are the most important person in my life. I would give everything. All the interest, all the focus is towards the person whom you are serving. And if I have to open my mouth, it has to be for service. It is not for telling what kind of a look at me. It's not about that. It's about I can lead by example. And so if I'm saying something, it is possibly an example which I'm giving of myself. So maybe what I would tell the DPS, alumni is that you guys have been extremely privileged to have gone to one of the premier schools in the country. And of course, you would want your children to do exactly well. Do not take their independence away. Do not think that you know more than your children. If we knew more than our children, we would have been better than our children, but our children are better than us. Accept the independence of the children. Value their judgment. Tell them, don't have to come first, but come first if you can. You don't have to. If you want to reach the top of Mount Everest, don't have to go there. Do it just because you can. You don't have to come first in everything. It is not important. Value the values you have. Your children will be protected not with money, not with the position, but with the values you give them. They will make a place for themselves in this planet. Don't push them to go abroad just because you have got lots of money and you can do it. Send them abroad with a particular view, what they can achieve out there. It is not about good. Colleges in India, the University of India are second to none. SRCC is almost as good as Harvard. People, that is that good. I see lots of people with money send their children to abroad and they are struggling. They have got very average degrees from very basic universities and then struggling for jobs. Don't do that. Don't waste your money. Get the primary education in India. Go for the colleges in India, first university. Second degree, if they can prove themselves, yes, they have done very well in the first degree in the university, push them to do something else. That is different. But just because they're getting a good degree, we think that they're going to get a good degree if they come to England and America. It is not true. I am seeing it time and time again, and people are failing. It is so. Value your education, value your values, transfer the values to everybody else, and help find people who is not related to you. Somebody in the street, somebody, your servant's child. If they know something, if they can do something, push them to do something great, and you will have a better community and better world.
Must say, you're really living the motto to the core. With that, I'll go over to Juhi. How about you? What would be your message to DPS alumni community?
I couldn't agree more with Deepankar. Quite well and eloquently put. I would like to add, have faith in your abilities. It's only you who can decide when you want to give up. And that's when things become negative. Once you are in that journey of trying to get somewhere, you are on a journey. It's not the end. The end is when you give up. So don't just give up. If something is too hard, persevere. Just try your best. And if it doesn't come, and once it's exhausted, okay, that comes to a natural end. That's fair. And professionally, my message out there for everyone, for dip sites, ex-dip sites, I would like to say, for all parents and teachers out there, remember, play is every child's best form of expression, and behind every child's bad behavior is a child in crisis. Just pause and rethink what might be going on for that child. Don't just jump into conclusion, because I was a very typical example of a young girl in crisis. I flunked in year 11 because in DPS, I was given subjects which were beyond my understanding. I did not get commerce. I just did not get commerce, and they gave me accounts to study. It was so hard. I didn't want to go to my class, and my teachers were expecting, for me to do really well. My mum was expecting me to do really well, and I was so lonely. And the only way I found, I found peace is going out with friends, hanging out, and wasting time. Only if the adults around me would have understood that is somebody who's struggling, and let's just have a talk with her. Let's give her the chance to be able to express herself. Then things could have been so different. Well, I think try to understand children and their behavior, whatever it is. There's always a story behind a behavior. Don't just jump into conclusions. So that is my professional opinion to all the people out there. But as a whole, just have trust in yourself. Things will happen. You'll overcome. And the way is up. When things get so low down, you will only rise. And it's okay to fail. Only way is up. When things get so low down, you will only rise. And it's okay to fail.
That's
there you go.
That's a very good advice. So I must say it was a very enthralling evening. Thank you, Juhi. Thank you, Deepankar, for taking time out and talking to us. It's been wonderful to know about your incredible journey, and I'm sure it will help a lot of alumni.
First, I would like to thank Rajiv, who was our guide in commerce. He said very humbly today that he makes it go from 30% to 90%. His skills are way beyond that. And of course, Deepankar's service before self and Juhi's eloquent in the UK cannot be, that's unique in itself. The only thing I want to share with you guys is that, one has to always stay positive, and wherever we are, we can find success.
I think it's an honor having Juhi and Dr. Deepankar. I tell you, you guys are doing such a noble job. Both of you, I think, were brilliant. Hearing you guys, your struggles, experiences are very inspiring, very, very inspiring.
I wanted to say is, if anybody needs any kind of assistance in any kind of mental health issues or medical problems, I am there.
Just wanted to say Dr. Deepankar and Juhi are doing fabulous job. Serving the community, serving the children, it's an amazing thing.
Having listened to both Dr. Deepankar Bose and to Juhi, I think they have made a point that, if there is any way they can assist people, so we can request them to send in a paragraph. We can put it up on the DPS Alumni network, and I'll also put it up on the website.
I got really a great message from you, and that was like wasting of the resources on this spraying all these areas, and it is all wastage of time, money and energy. I want you to enlighten if with a strong message to World Health Organization as well as countries like ours?
I have written to Harshvardhan ji, who is from my medical college, and I think there was some influence because they were going to break the lockdown in the first instance, and then we insisted that please don't do it. Yes, the thing is, India is a very big country. I've got a very weak voice.